Hey all you out there, we're back once again to save you a bunch of money on a bunch of Nintendo Switch games. This is our third part to our ongoing sale series. We're featuring eShop games this time. Again, as always, everything here is under $5. Most things are only $1 or $2. We can't get enough of these sales. People seem to like this stuff, and who doesn't love saving some money? So let's get right into the games this time. Here we go. First up on our list is a favorite of mine. This is Creepy Brawlers from our friends over at Mega Cat Studios. I have a personal love for this game. I actually own the physical cartridge. Now, if you see on the screen, this is essentially Punch-Out. This is Punch-Out, but instead of regular people, you are fighting all sorts of monsters with all sorts of moves. This is as good as you think it could be. It's just full on arcade. It feels just like Punch-Out. Lots of fun here. I own the physical cartridge for the NES. They went that far. The people at Mega Cat Studios are fantastic at this sort of stuff. This one is on sale for 99 cents. This is a hands down must own if you've got a buck laying around and you need your Punch-Out fix, because we haven't gotten a Punch-Out on the Switch just yet. You can't go wrong with this one. There is a physical release. There's also the Nintendo NES cart release. But for 99 cents digital, you can't go wrong. Get yourself some Punch-Out fun. This is a must. Up next is something a little different in a first 4-hour list. This is Saturday Morning RPG. This one is by Limited Run Games and Mighty Rabbit. What's special about this one is this is a full-fledged RPG. And if you know anything, RPGs, at least big ones, tend to not go on sale very often, and if they do, not for very much. These are massive games. This is, if you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, this is absolutely the game for you, with tons and tons of love and fan service to stuff. Just, you see the DeLorean and stuff pop in. There's tributes to all sorts of cartoons and Transformers and G.I. Joe, of course. Huge levels, super fun, super silly game. This one has always been on my list. This is one of Limited Run's earlier titles that they released, and I'm still looking for a physical release. I own this on Steam, but for 99 cents to play something like this on the go, this is a blast, especially if you like RPGs and you grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. If you're in that age bracket, this one is going to charm your pants off, and you are going to get plenty of hours of fun on this one. So head over to the eShop right now for 99 cents. That's a steal for an RPG. Next up on our list is Toki Tori by Two Tribes. This is a puzzle platformer. Now this one is near and dear to my heart. This was the very first WiiWare game that I actually purchased, and I had a blast with it. This is just a very simple puzzle type game where you're just controlling your little bird from beginning to end. Playing it on WiiWare was fun. This version for 49 cents, that's ridiculous, is in HD and looks absolutely fantastic. If you love puzzle platformers, this is an easy choice for 50 cents for the whole family. You really can't go wrong with a little Toki Tori in your life. Now, we can't talk about Toki Tori without talking about Toki Tori 2 Plus. Again, by Two Tribes. This is a puzzle platformer. This one came out in 2018. This is the sequel, the plus edition of the sequel, so it's $1.49, which is still a fantastic price. I'd say $1.49 would be a fair price for the original Toki Tori, but for the second one, it's even better. Huge, much bigger game, much more things to do, much more colorful, just a lot of fun. If you already played the original Toki Tori, because again, it was out on WiiWare, it was out on iOS, it was out on PS3, it was basically on anything with the screen back in the day, probably skip that first one, jump right into Toki Tori 2. It's more of that same goodness, just with a lot of extra fun bits. Two Tribes has done a lot of fantastic work here. As you can see, the art style is a little bit different. It's a little more colorful, a little more involved. This one is a little bit less straight out puzzle platformer like the last one. The original Toki Tori is very rigid in its style. Toki Tori 2 opens it up to be more of a sort of Metroidvania style puzzle platformer with a lot more things to do. So if you love the first one, you're going to love the second one. If you want to jump into something more advanced, just pick up the second one. You're not going to miss out. It's going to be a lot of fun for this. We're going to follow that up with something pretty cool. This is Ultra Space Battle Brawl. This is by Toki Productions. This is an arcade title, and as you can see, it is a wild mess of ideas. They call this, in their genre, is a fighting Pong game. So you can see these players, this cast of characters you select, and then you essentially just play Pong with each other, and you're trying to take out the enemy blocks and have access to the win zone. It's essentially Pong. Think of it like a cross between that and Windjammers, a little bit back and forth. Tons of zany characters, huge party game. Look at this action. If you like Pong, if you like Windjammers, if you like crazy action, something like this is an absolute must. You can't miss out on some good old Ultra Space Battle Brawl. And for me, what really set this off when I picked this game up was just the art style. This pixel style, everything is just fast, in your face, colorful, bright. It just screams fun, and it's a whole load of fun. So Ultra Space Battle right now over on the eShop. Up next on our list is Night Trap, and this one has a lot of history behind it. This is the 25th anniversary. Now, for those of you that don't know, or maybe you're too young, this right here, what you're looking at, this silly goofiness, is the reason we have the ESRB. This game was in front of Congress. Senators argued over the violence in this game alongside Mortal Kombat. But Night Trap was one of the reasons we now have those ratings on your game. It is not good by any means. It is campy. It is silly. It is an FMV game where you essentially just pick different rooms to look at, and hopefully you're looking at the right thing at the right time and tell someone what to do. But for $2.99, this is simply a must-have in the history of video games as a whole, just to see the age that we lived in the early 90s. I own this from Limited Run Games in its actual physical release, simply because this is a game that's important, because Nintendo themselves said it would never make it to a Nintendo platform. Here we are. Get it now. And lastly, we're looking at something pretty cool. This is Transistor, developed by Super Giant Games. This is an action RPG. This came out back in 2018. The sale for this one goes to the 19th, so you got a little bit of time on this. It's on sale for $3.99. This one usually retails for about $19.99 on average on the eShop, so this is a huge sale. But Transistor is simply gorgeous. It's one of the most beautifully done action RPGs that you can find out there. It's just kind of a stunning achievement from beginning to end. It's an indie game, but it's so cool. The art style really sells this. Just look at what's going on in terms of art. Gameplay has this kind of grid layout. It's very RPG-like. You can run around. Of course, you have this huge sword that reminds you of Final Fantasy and stuff. But if there was one game on this list that just oozed cool, it would be Transistor. We always end, of course, these lists with the most expensive game. And $3.99 is not expensive at all. Completely worth the price. The music, the art style, the gameplay. This is a game that very, very easily will get you hooked once you start playing. I was tentative on this one when it first was presented. I love the style, but the gameplay didn't kind of catch me offhand. But once I picked it up and actually started playing, boom, I was hooked from there on out, and I guarantee you will be as well. Well, that's our list for this third episode in our super cheap Nintendo Switch games. We don't know what we're calling it still. We're doing this in quarantine, just kind of off the cuff, because we're saving money as well sitting at home. So we thought, hey, why don't you guys sell some money? The response to these videos so far has been great. We've seen a lot of comments. We're interacting with all you people. It's fantastic. We're still looking to expand this, of course, to PS4, Xbox One, and even Steam. But right now we're going to continue our focus on Nintendo Switch games while we're in quarantine. So until next time, you guys have a fantastic week. Stay safe out there. Make sure you're self-isolating, and we'll see you again.